Hey there, my name is Sarah Diedrich. Welcome to your practice today. We're going to be moving through sort of a tutorial as well as a short practice that focuses on gluteus medius. Very important muscle that kind of lives on the side slash back of the hip. So when we think about our glutes, a lot of times we think of gluteus maximus, right? So that's the kind of outermost big muscle that we know as our butt. The gluteus medius actually lives a little bit higher. So if you look at my hands, gluteus medius kind of lives about right here. It starts at the top of the pelvis, which if you palpate and you try to feel the top edge of the pelvis, it's pretty high, right, around the waist. So the gluteus medius is starting a little bit higher than what we might think of, and it has a distinct function from gluteus maximus. So when we think about the glutes, they're comprised of three muscles: gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, and gluteus minimus. Gluteus medius and minimus are kind of like sidekicks. They have similar functions, but the gluteus medius is distinct from gluteus maximus. So whereas gluteus maximus, that kind of big butt muscle, draws the leg behind us and extends the hip, what gluteus medius is going to do is, for the purpose of today, do two things. One is to abduct the leg. So take the leg away from the midline, and you'll start to feel kind of this outer hip area tone and engage, right? Another thing that it's going to do that's super important for just living in our daily lives is it's going to draw the thigh into the hip socket and draw the hips toward the midline of the body. Why is this important? Well, a lot of us, including myself, we tend to kind of lay in one hip a lot, right? We have that hip that we lay into, right? Kind of this like sassy hip action, right? And when we do that, we're kind of sitting in the joint. We're hanging in the joint, right? And maybe over time that's not super awesome for the cartilage and the ligaments within the hip socket, right? So when we contract gluteus medius, I'm going to call it the side butt, just, to be casual, but it's gluteus medius. When we contract gluteus medius, we hug the outer hip in, and we're not hanging out in the joint, right? So when I'm hanging out in my hip and I'm not engaging this muscle, my pelvis is not level and also not so stable. So when we hug the outer hip in, notice how my pelvis levels off. I feel more buoyant, I feel taller, I feel more stable. So rather than walking kind of off kilter, right, we can level and stabilize the pelvis, and then we can walk in a more balanced way. So left and right side become a little bit more balanced, right? And that's really important as we walk through life, right? Feeling that sense of balance, feeling that sense of stability. So hugging in, right? And we'll look at that in our practice today. So let's kind of move a little bit and get more intimate with our gluteus medius. You'll come onto your hands and your knees. Stack your hips over your knees and your shoulders over your wrists. Spread your fingers, and then take a few rounds of cat-cow. As you inhale, drop the belly, scoop your heart forward, lift your tail, lift your chin, and exhale, round your spine, push the floor away from you, scoop the belly in, chin to chest. Good, two more. Inhale, arch the spine. Really feel your breath there. Exhale and round. One more. Inhale, heart reaches forward between the arms. And exhale, push the floor away, spread the shoulder blades apart, belly hugs in. Good, and then come back to a neutral spine. You're going to step your right leg back toward the back of the mat. So right leg is straight, right toes are tucked under, press back through the right heel, lengthening through the hamstrings and the calf muscles. Hug the belly in and lengthen the tail back behind you. And then you're going to step that left hand just slightly forward. Okay, so the left hand just steps maybe one hand's length forward, so the wrist is forward of the shoulder. And then you're going to pick up your left shin and left foot and swivel it behind you so that you have a nice base or foundation. And then you're going to bring your right hand to your hip and spin your right heel down. Okay, so the right foot is flat on the mat, left shin is pointing behind you, left toes are pointing behind you, and your left wrist is a little bit forward of that left shoulder. Now go ahead and press the left heel of the hand straight down and away from you. Right? So rather than sagging in this left hip, when we engage the gluteus medius, it's going to pull that left hip in and make us lift away from the ground and feel a little bit more buoyant. And now we're going to engage the right gluteus medius muscle. So with your right hand on your hip, just start to float that right leg up. And it doesn't have to be hip height. If you can get the right foot hip height, then go ahead and do that. And right away, you should feel your side butt area begin to engage that outer hip. Right? Keep hugging the belly in and lengthening your tailbone toward your right heel. Spread your right toes and breathe. And just notice and feel how this muscle begins to tone. Notice the sensation that you feel in the muscle. Use the outside of your right leg and the outside of your right foot to really lift that leg away from the floor. Good. Draw in through your left ribs and your left side waist. One more breath in. Good. And then exhale, lower the right foot down to the mat. Right hand down, spin back through your tabletop pose and take one round of cat-cow. Inhale to arch the spine. And exhale to round the spine. Good. And we'll just try that on the second side. So step your left foot toward the back of the mat. Left leg is straight. Left heel is lifted. Toes are tucked under. And then just press back through the left heel, stretching the back of the left leg. Good. And then go ahead and step that right hand just a little bit forward so that the right wrist is forward of the right shoulder. Pick up your right shin and then swivel that right shin and right foot behind you. Right, so right toes are going to point behind you, and then spin that left heel down, left hand to hip. So the left foot is like the back foot in Warrior Two, right? Really kind of digging down through the foot just for a moment as we set up our foundation. Press the heel of your right hand down and away from you, and that's going to lift you away from the floor and give you a little bit more stability. Hug your right outer hip in. Hug the right ribs in, so you're kind of cinching through the right waist. And then as you're ready, lift the left leg up, floating at any height that feels comfortable for you. If you can get the left foot hip height, that's great. If not, that's also great. You just start to feel how abducting the leg, so you're moving it away from the midline, moving it into the air. Start to engage this outer hip, side butt, gluteus medius area, and minimus as well. Keep pushing through the right heel of your hands. And hold there. Spread the left toes. Lift the outer left leg up. Outer left heel up. Keep the belly toning in. Lengthen the spine or the lower spine, the tailbone toward the left heel. Big inhale. And slowly float that left leg down onto the mat. Good. Spin back toward your tabletop pose. And let's come into downward facing dog. So that shows us how, gluteus medius works there, lifting and abducting the leg. And we'll show two more poses just to really get to know how this muscle helps us move, helps us stabilize. So you'll take the left leg up into the air, inhale, and then exhale, step your left foot to your left thumb and rise up into Warrior Two. Spin the right heel down and rise up, arms nice and wide, reaching away from the heart. Okay, we're going to come into Ardha Chandrasana half moon. So bring your right hand to your hip and kind of wiggle that right foot forward so your feet are more underneath you. Come forward, land your left hand in front of your left foot, maybe about a foot in front of the left foot. That's a lot of foot. And then pour weight into your left foot and start to float that right leg up for Ardha Chandrasana. Now notice how this is a very similar pose to what we just did, but now we're balancing on our left foot. We're standing on our left leg. Okay, but it's similar with the right leg. So you're going to hug the belly in, lengthen the tailbone behind you, and use the outside of the right leg, outer right heel to really lift that leg up. Reach or kick out through the right heel, spread the right toes. Right arm can reach toward the sky if you want to. And something that I like to do to engage this muscle a little bit more is start to turn my right toes toward the ground a little bit and my right heel toward the sky. A little bit of internal rotation of the right thigh bone. And that for me seems to engage the muscle just a little bit more. So you can try that. Good. Soften through the left knee a little bit, but really drive the left heel down through the mat. Inhale. And exhale, come back toward warrior two. Reach up, inhale. And then exhale, cartwheel the hands to the mat, step back to downward facing dog. One breath there in between, deep inhale, fill the sides of the ribs. And exhale, hug the front ribs in. Inhale, right leg sweeps up behind you. Step the right foot to the right thumb. Spin the left heel flat and cartwheel up into warrior two. Just setting up for our Ardha Chandrasana. Left hand will come to left hip, and then heel toe that left foot toward your right foot, so your feet are more underneath you. And then start to come forward and down. Right hand will land about a foot in front of your right foot, maybe off to the right a tad. And then pour your weight forward into the right heel until you can float that left leg up. You'll start to open your belly and your chest out to the side. Dig the right heel straight down into the mat, but keep that right knee slightly soft. And then use the outside of your left leg and the outer left heel to lift that leg up, engaging your gluteus medius. Start to feel the outer left hip contract a little bit to float that leg up. Keep drawing the left shoulder back, opening across the chest as much as feels comfortable. And then maybe try that repositioning of your left foot. You might start to move your left toes toward the direction of the ground and the outer left heel toward the direction of the sky. Slight internal rotation of the left thigh bone. And then see if you can give it a little bit more lift. Last breath in. And as you exhale, bend into that right knee. Step that left foot to the back of the mat. Push down through the feet. Rise up, warrior two. Inhale. Exhale, cartwheel the hands back to the mat. Step to downward facing dog. If you want to take a vinyasa or anything, go ahead. You can inhale forward to plank. Exhale, chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. And as you hug the belly in, back to downward facing dog, exhale. Okay, one more pose to help us really stabilize here. You're going to look forward toward the hands, bend the knees on the exhale, and then step or float to the top of the mat. Take a halfway lift on the inhale, hands might slide to the shins. And let it go, exhale. Good, inhale, rise to stand, sweep the arms up toward the sky. And then pull the hands in front of the heart, exhale, samastitihi. And then arms can float by your side, Tadasana. Okay, tree pose, Vrikshasana. So this is really going to help us with our balancing poses. Gluteus medius in general is really helpful for balancing poses, so we don't lay in the hip like I talked about. So you're going to step into your left foot and take your right foot, sole of the right foot, you can bring it to the inner ankle, inner shin, or pull it up into the inner thigh. Okay, now, if we're not engaging the gluteus medius muscle, right, we might lay into that hip, right? So the outer left hip might jut out to the left. So what I want you to do is feel, maybe even put your hand on your outer hip or outer butt and pull that in toward the midline. Right, so as you contract gluteus medius, that left hip is going to draw in. Right? And notice how you feel a little bit more buoyant and taller, maybe even prouder, right? So really lengthening up through the midline of the body as you hug in. Okay, and now we're higher up in the hip rather than sinking into the hip and putting excess pressure in the joint. Right? So again, hug in at the outer hip, draw it toward the midline, lengthen up through the chest, arms can reach toward the sky. Press your inner left thigh and inner right foot into each other. Okay, so really push them in toward each other to create stability. Focus on one point and breathe here for another breath. Exhale, bring the hands down toward the mat. Release the right leg. Inhale, arms reach toward the sky. Just a little Refresher, exhale and fold over both legs. Knees are slightly soft. Halfway lift on the inhale. Trace your heart and your gaze forward. And exhale, fold over both legs. Good. Inhale, rise to stand. Sweep the arms up. Find that length. And then soften the palms into the heart and arms by your side. Okay, second side. So you're going to pour weight into your right foot. And notice how when you pour your weight, right away that outer hip starts to jut out to the right. We'll remedy that. But first, really root down into the foot and then draw that left foot anywhere inside of the right leg except for the knee. Right? So place the foot. Hands can come to hips to start. And just notice the levelness in your pelvis, right? Maybe that outer right hip is kind of hiking up a little bit more, which means we just need to hug in at the outer hip. Right? So engaging or contracting gluteus medius on the right side, start to draw the outer right hip in toward the midline, and notice how you get taller right from there. Press the inner right thigh and left foot into each other, nice and strong. And once you feel nice and stable, you can reach the arms up toward the sky, finding your tree pose. And so as you imagine this line drawing down or running down the middle of the body, hug the outer edges of your body in toward that center line. And that's called the midline. And when we hug to the midline, I'm losing the foot. When we hug to the midline, we find a lot of stability and strength. All right, one more breath in. Oh, nice job. And then exhale, release the arms, slide the foot out of the leg, and maybe just shake it out a little bit. You can take an inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, fold over your legs. Okay, we'll do a little stretch now. Halfway lift on the inhale. And then exhale, just start to sink your hips towards your heels, plop onto your butts, and pause there. Okay, knees can point toward the ceiling, plant the feet, arms come forward. Inhale, lift your chest up. And then exhale, start to slowly lower all the way down onto your back. Engaging the belly a little bit. Good. And then go ahead and slide the feet in toward your pelvis a little bit and cross your right leg over your left, like you're sitting in a chair. Okay, and then start to pick up your left foot and bring your knees in toward your chest. Starting to move into supine gomukhasana. So what you can do is you can start by just holding opposite knees. So left hand to right knee, right hand to left knee. So left hand on the top knee, right hand on the bottom knee. And then this might be enough, right? So we're starting to kind of stretch and get into the outer right hip on this side. So if you feel enough sensation there or the outer hips are particularly tight, you can stay here. If you have the space to do this, hands can slide to opposite shins instead. And then maybe you keep sliding your hands down to your ankles or even the outer edges of your feet. And there's this sense, a little bit of kind of pulling your legs away from each other, your lower legs apart. That's just a very subtle, gentle action. Don't force anything there. And that will increase sensation in the outer hip. And see if you can let your tailbone get heavy toward the mat. And see if you can let the back of your skull get heavy toward the mat, softening your chin in the direction of your chest. And breathe all the way down into the pelvis and out into the outer hips. And take another breath in there. Empty out, exhale. And then release the hands, unravel the legs, place the feet on the mat. We'll go into the second side. So cross or drape your left thigh over your right. And then lift both legs into the chest and find an appropriate hold. So it could be the knees, the outer shins, or the outer ankles, depending on how your hips are feeling. And if you're holding onto the shins or the ankles or the outer edges of the feet, you just very, very gently start to encourage the lower legs to move away from each other. And again, that's the slightest little action there. And then when you find the sensation in the outer left hip that works well for you, that you can still breathe into, hold there. And see if you can settle the lower back, settle the back of the skull. And then kick out through the heels just a little bit. Take one more breath in. And exhale, empty out. And from there, unravel the legs. Place the feet on the floor. And you can slide both legs out, extending through the limbs and coming into a Savasana if that's what you're wanting. So if you want to take a little bit of rest after that and kind of integrate all of your movements, take some time here. And if you feel really content here, just stay laying on your mat. You can just listen to my voice, but no need to move your body just yet. And if you feel ready to come out, just take some time to slide the feet in and roll off to your side. And with a sense of patience, rise up into your seat. I hope that this little mini tutorial and practice was helpful for you. And just, again, at the foundation of everything, I hope this helps you become more in tune with your body and get to know your body a little bit more and all the ways that it helps you move through life. So thank you so much for practicing, and I'll see you soon.